Hello everyone, this is Sean Alexander with Alexander Math and Physics Tutoring, and today's subject will be the chain rule, which is a calculus rule that a lot of students struggle with, so I want to try and help you out with that. Now the chain rule is for taking the derivative of composite functions, and just to remind you, a composite function is when you plug one function into another, f of g of x. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of a composite function. Let's say we had y equals the sine of x squared. Now, this is a composite function because we can think of this as one function plugged into another. So we're going to use a term called the outside function. I'm going to just switch variables here. I'll show you why in a second. So the outside function we're going to call f of w, which is the sine. And then the inside function, or the function that's been plugged into the other function, g of x, is x squared in this case. And you can see that when we get f of g of x, that's plugging g of x into f. That is, we take this guy and plug it in right here. We get sine of x squared, which is our starting point. Okay? So, the chain rule is for taking the derivative of composite functions, and it uses a really clever trick. So I'm assuming by now you've seen the notation d dx. This is an instruction to take the derivative with respect to x. Now we can write this a little different. Actually, I'll call it dy dx. That's the instruction to take the derivative of y with respect to x. Now, what I'm going to do is split this into two fractions. I'm going to call this dy dw times dw dx. You can see that they're the same thing because the dw's just cancel to get dy dx. However, we're going to treat each of these guys separately. Let's see why. What does dy dw mean? It means take the derivative with respect to w. So if we go to the outside function, remember that f of w we called sine w. Okay? So we're going to do d sine w dw, that's the first part of the chain rule, times, now we're looking at this part right here, dw dx. Well, what's w in this case? It's x squared, the inside function. Okay, and this allows us to do it. Okay, so we're going to take the derivative of the first one, the sine of w with respect to the w. Hopefully you know the derivative of sine. The derivative of sine is cosine times, oh, excuse me, I left out a d here, the derivative of x squared. Well, that's an easy one with respect to x. That you should learn right away in the beginning, is simply 2x. And again, what's w? W is the inside function, or x squared. So we get cosine, which is the answer. That is dy dx. Okay, so that's the chain rule in action. Now, to be more practical, here's how I like to think of it. The chain rule, I like to use words. It's the derivative of the outside function you can all write this down with the inside function plugged in times the derivative of the inside function. Okay, these words really help me. So I showed you where the chain rule comes from. It's a very simple way of splitting it up into two fractions. But for practicality, I like using these words. The derivative of the outside function with the inside function plugged in times the derivative of the inside function. Okay, so let's look at one more example. Let's say we had y equals cosine of x squared plus 2. Okay, the first step is to define your inside and outside function. In this case, the outside function will be cosine W. Again, W is just a random variable. W will be the inside function in this case, x squared plus 2. Okay, so the outside function is cosine W, and the inside function g of x is what's plugged in. And again, notice if you plug g into f, you get cosine x squared plus 2. Okay, so let's use these words now. The chain rule says that dy dx is the derivative of the outside function, which in this case is cosine, right? Cosine W. What's the derivative of the cosine? It's minus sine. Here's the key part. With the inside function plugged in. So we want to leave that inside function, which is x squared plus 2, plugged into the outside function. Okay, so we just did the first two lines here, derivative of the outside function with the inside function plugged in. Okay, that's this part here, times the derivative of the inside function. Now the inside function is x squared plus 2, so that's a simple derivative. It's once again 2x. And that is how we do the chain rule. So the main takeaway is use these words. It's the derivative of the outside function with the inside function plugged in times the derivative of the inside function. Okay, guys, I really hope that helps you out with the chain rule. It's a sticky point for a lot of calculus students. Thank you so much. Take care.